We're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it. Hello. Welcome to the first edition of the Keeper's Corner Podstacast, where tonight we're breaking down the difference between Riggies and penne, angel hair, thin spaghetti, and regular spaghetti. And I'm just kidding. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Texas Outlaws Utica Riggies game and what went down on Sunday. Just to get that reaction out of Brandon, it was worth it to do it again.
I had to hear it twice.
Thanks, Pika.
Obviously, we're going to be talking about the game from Sunday, where the Utica Riggies lost in overtime, 9-8 to the Texas Outlaws
In their debut.
And yeah, they flew too close to the sun. Icarus's wings melted, and we lost by the same score that we won by last year.
Yeah, it was. I mean, listen, a loss sucks, but that was such a good game.
Oh, it was a great game.
The game on the field was amazing to watch. You know, it was so tense in the odd for just 60 plus minutes. And it hurt at the end, but man,
Adding Derek Jeter.
I mean, what a great game. Hard fought, back and forth. It had everything you could ask for. You had a shootout. You had overtime. You had blue cards. You had wall of scorers. You had a game-tying goal with 10 seconds to play.
Yeah. Yep.
It was a fantastic game. Unfortunately, it just didn't fall Utica's way.
A lot of things didn't fall our way, but
unfortunately,
so be it.
Yeah. Brandon, do you have a stat that tells the story for this one? Because there was a lot going on.
Oh my God, there was so much going on. So, and to be clear, I did not go back and rewatch anything. Have not had time. So all of this is just going to be based on just being there. And of course, you know, the stats, of course. Honestly, I think that the only one that I can probably think of that is kind of, I don't know, kind of meaningful is just the total goal count. Like, yeah, we've had games that have been double digits, but not like 17 goals in one game. That wasn't just a complete blowout. I mean, this was just, again, it was just such a hard fought game. And you can see that in, you know, the back and forth scoring, the stat sheet, just looking at the blue cards, looking at the fouls. I mean, everything just shows how breaks this down so elegantly as to how hard fought of a game between these two teams it was. And I mean, things were getting scrappy out there. I mean, we saw it all game. It was just tooth and nail. These two teams were trying to claw up to getting that W.
Yeah, I mean, what a finish. You had 3 goals scored in the final 5 minutes of regulation.
The announcer couldn't even finish the announcement of the goals before the next one was scored for both sides.
Yeah, you have the power play goal that ties it from Taylor Walter Bond with the Wallace score a header.
Mm-hmm.
And a minute 17 later, Texas retakes the lead. And then a minute 11 later, with 10 seconds left, Taylor Walter Bond tied it.
Oh, Taylor was on fire. Even after he bashed his head against the boards, it looked like.
I don't know if it was the boards or if he just kind of caught a hand to the face on his follow through on that header.
Yeah, it could have been either or.
Yeah. What the over for this game was set at 12.5, and at 17 goals, they kind of killed it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I mean this no matter how you slice it, it was just a killer game.
My stat that tells the story is Luis Morales with his hat trick.
Yeah.
I think it's official. I know it's only 2 games for him against City, but right now, he looks like Utica's daddy. He has scored 8 goals in 2 games on the blue turf.
Wow.
Yeah. That's not like he's doing it at home. He's coming into Utica and dominating.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you look at it and go, hey, they held him to 3 goals this time instead of 5. But he had the opening shot. He gave Texas the lead 3-2. And then his final goal was the one that pushed it to 8-7.
Yep.
Like, all of his were important, Yeah, every goal's important, but like the 8-7 one almost sank this game in regulation.
They were momentum swingers.
Yes.
They were swings, whatever you want to call it. However you want to put that. But that's what they were. You know, they stopped our forward momentum in its tracks and swung things back in their favor.
Mm-hmm.
Or put them in their favor to begin with. I mean, you know, the fact that we literally had a goal with not even a minute into the game, I mean, that just hurts. That sucks when you start on your back heel, not even a full minute into regulation.
Yeah, no, you got to dig yourself out of a ditch, which City did, and then back and forth, and for the final 20 minutes of the game, they never were able to reclaim the lead.
No.
Just, kudos to Texas. They played their game. And speaking of it, let's talk about plays that changed this one. I think I'm going to go with the easy one, and that is Frank getting. I think you're thinking. I think you're going for the other one. I'm going on the whiff in the third quarter with about 30 seconds left. The ball came across the turf to him, and he swung and just nothing. The one that went right between his legs.
Yep. Okay.
If you go into the fourth quarter with a 1-goal lead and momentum shifting your way, that is huge.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go into the fourth quarter tied and then give up a goal a minute and a half into it, you could feel the air leave the auditorium.
Yeah, I know Frank's got his fair share of doubters in the Utica crowd, just because, you know, frankly, not even necessarily because of like technical ability of what Q and what Steph brought to the table, but also a lot to do with just people like Steph and Q. But he did not do himself any favors this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whiff, the air that everyone felt off of that. And then, yeah, the exact one that I'm thinking of, which is the shootout.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that ball basically hit both, essentially looked like it was hitting both posts and just come right out.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, you could just hear the disappointment
Mm-hmm.
in the crowd. Just, you know, and of course the whole, oh, Gordy would have gotten that, blah, blah, blah. Well, Gordy's not out there, is he?
No.
Yeah, Gordy like thrives for those moments and he's really, really good in them. But like, I'm still, I'm still, pro Frank at this point. I mean, he has definitely, he's put in work for Utica, but yeah, I mean, he just, frankly, like I said, he really just didn't do himself any favors winning over the Utica crowd last night. And
yeah, which is a shame because he had a goal and an assist in this game. It's not like he was held scoreless. He's now the leading scorer on the team with 20 points on the season.
Yeah, which is crazy that people would still doubt him when he's now leading the team.
Yeah. But yeah, those were two big chances. And, and both momentum. Yes, Utica tied it with the power play ending. But at that point, almost 2 more minutes had come off the clock.
So after you said your play, that one came to my mind because that's what I thought that, we're actually going with. I actually didn't have a specific play. I mean, yes, that one for sure. But there was a bit of dissent in the ranks last night for sure. I mean, I know at one point we saw Hundelt and Andrew kind of going at it a little bit. Basically, could be misinterpreting it, but it definitely looked like Hundelt was basically like pointing at the armband, like, "Hey, who's the captain on the field here?" Like trying to kind of assert some authority, and it sounded like Andrew was just giving him the second and third degree. But we don't know. I mean, I think that it's stuff like that. It's dissent in the team that is going to lead to problems. It's going to lead to giveaways. It's going to lead to, missed opportunities, things like that. And it's like, you might not agree on stuff, but definitely, they got to keep working together. I mean, they did. It's just stuff like that can not only sway the team, but can also sway the audience, the crowd. So that was just something that, again, didn't necessarily change it for me, but definitely was like sowed the seeds of doubt a little bit in how the team was going to do that night. And I mean, they proved me wrong, but I was a little worried. I really was. It was nerve wracking.
Now, it's, when friction happens, it's kind of a point where obviously, season goes on, guys are going to have different opinions. You could tell Coughlin was getting frustrated with his defense. And I would say deservedly so. 2 goals easily came from poor rotation on not even like fast breaks, just not. They were kind of counterattacks, but we had guys back and they didn't hustle to keep up with the trailing runner.
Right.
There was the goal that came right off the set piece, the quick restart, where everyone was kind of standing around looking, expecting Texas to set something up, and they just quick started it and nailed it in.
Not the first time we've been caught by that.
No, nope. losing focus and giving up a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the 2 out of the 9 goals I would put on Andrew. 2, where you could tell he was upset with himself not getting his hands up fast enough. He reacted a split second late.
Yeah, he.
I
mean, he
I'd
definitely
give
didn't.
3 of them to Texas just beating the defense and Andrew. Like, fantastic goals.
Yeah.
That leaves 4 goals unaccounted for, where the defense made mistakes again.
Mm-hmm. No, it was again, it was another game that it could have been better.
Mhm.
There was definitely some improvement that needed to happen. One of the things that I noticed specifically was towards the end, we were getting
Mhm.
gassed. I could see it.
Yeah.
We weren't able to follow as easily. We weren't able to make those quick getaway or quick counterattacks. And along with that, our passes were lacking luster. They were, a lot of them were coming up short. Guys weren't chasing it. Guys were looking at the ball. I mean, they were definitely getting tired. And, that's when I know I was kind of getting on them. Like, if we got energy, you got energy and stuff like that, just yelling stuff in the crowd stuff, crowd noise, trying to
Mhm.
amp people up. And, yeah, I mean, you could see it. You could see that the life was just kind of getting sapped out of them. And then that's when, luckily they did end up kind of starting to turn it around.
Mhm. No, it definitely helped that the crowd stayed into it.
Yes.
And you could tell that the crowd was getting to Texas with a couple of their goal celebrations, which were just straight up taunting of the crowd. And that there's a level where, okay, it's fine, whatever. I think they crossed that on the game winning one. Like, win with class, lose with class. I think the one where he just kind of stood in front and did the arms spread wide, like, look at me. Yeah, the are you not entertained? No
Mhm.
problem with that one.
Yeah.
The standing on the boards after you just won the game, kind of also picking the boards of the beer garden where some key players were because they
Mhm.
were out with injury.
Yeah.
That's not a good look.
I'm going to play the other angle here,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe a little excessive. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug.
Oh yeah.
Like, you just won a game that you just fought your butt off for 65, 66 minutes. And I mean, I know you might say, well, would Utica have done that if they were there? I don't know. I mean,
I would
you
hope
know,
not.
I mean, I kind of
Yeah,
would hope not
celebrate
to,
with your
but
team, but yeah, I
I,
like Chino. Like I know both Chino and was it De Leon ripped their shirts off when they hit the game winner in overtime. No problem with that. But Chino went and found his teammates to celebrate.
yeah.
He didn't go stand on the boards in KC like, yeah, how you like me now?
Yeah, like I said, maybe could have toned it down a little bit, but I wasn't necessarily holding it against him. It was, for me, it was like I said, it was just like the adrenaline's pumping.
I
Just,
mean, we've seen worse, obviously.
yeah, I mean,
A certain player like humping the turf.
yeah, I hope they clean that.
I'm gonna say no because we saw a few people get stuck out there and just trip. um, but obviously, to get back on
Yeah.
track, the defense is what has to change. These guys have to figure out defensive rotations. We're
Yes.
almost halfway into the season. It needs to get cleaned up. And if it can't get cleaned up, some kind of move has to happen to bring in another defender. Because otherwise, against good teams, you're going to be playing these marathons, and you can't do that in the playoffs.
No. Nope.
And especially back to back.
Yeah, the glass cannon approach worked for a while. And it seems like we're trying something, I mean, we had Berger playing last night. Not that, he's some big well-known player or anything, but he was a defensive player. You can tell that it does feel like the like Everton and maybe Tommy are kind of seeing like, hey, maybe we do need some sort of additional defense here, and that's why they were experimenting with, bringing him up. That could also just been a depth thing. I think
that was just Mo's missing.
Yeah. Which, again, that's going to play into depth. Mo might not be able to be there every week. So, as seen by last night. So, I mean, you can tell that the wheels might be turning already. And if that's the case, great. That means that they're getting ahead of it early and not waiting until last minute to try and resolve that issue. But yeah, I definitely agree. It's something that needs to be worked on sooner rather than later.
I think it's weird that they list Berger as a defender on the MASL site because he's listed as a forward down in M2. And that's where he's been getting game action. So you're pulling him up, you're putting him out of position, and it's his first game getting it at this speed.
Yeah, agreed.
Not exactly a putting your aces in their places kind of plan.
I don't know if it would have been the game I would have experimented with.
No. Now I know outdoor he played defense and midfield, but that's outdoor, very, very different. As we're well versed with.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think needs to change?
I mean, didn't we just?
Yeah, we're both in agreement. Defense.
Yeah, I was like, didn't we just kind of talk about that for a few minutes?
Well, I said defense. I didn't know if you had anything different.
Oh no, I mean it's blatantly obvious. We can capitalize on the offense. I mean, we actually converted at least on one power play. We can capitalize on offense. We can get things going on offense. Now we just need to shore up the other side of the field. And I mean, we're golden. We could easily see a decent run in the playoffs. But we need to get those things sorted out. We need to get that defense shored up. However we do that. But I mean, people like Juan, who played an amazing game last night.
Honestly, that was the best game I think I've ever seen from Alava.
Yeah. I mean, he had an amazing game. I'm singing Nelly's praises again. He also had a great game, broke up a lot of plays, that the slide tackle there at the end to try and steal the ball. I mean, it was beautiful. Like these guys, we see moments. I mean, Dylan, Logan, every part of the defense was firing on all cylinders from time to time. We need that all the time. However we can do that, whatever rotations we need, whatever people we need on the defense to be able to make that happen, that's what we need. How dare you?
I would say it's not just from the defenders.
No. I'm not.
Our forwards need to be able to at least follow through on the rotation.
Yeah, no, I'm not just putting it on our defenders, but
because it is so frustrating watching everybody get caught ball watching. No one's looking at, but tracking guys running down the turf to catch up to the play.
Yep.
It's just the ball handler is headed towards the corner. Let's all look and head in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing full well that every time what happens is they kick the ball off the wall, trying to put it back in the mix and see what happens. And that led to 2-3 goals in this one.
Yeah, it definitely led to a few. And
I'm really getting tired of seeing Wallace Scora highlights that are against Utica.
I know.
Because it's multiple every week.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, it is. And yeah, I agree with Huber as well. Our power play sucks.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell a few times they were missing Gordy because the power play's better when he's out there.
Mhm.
And on set pieces, like it was like, we're missing Mo. We don't have anyone to quarterback these set pieces.
Right. Agreed.
And you know who helps in both those cases if he's ever healthy and allowed to play?
Nate.
We've missed the entire our captain.
I knew that's where you're going with that.
Someone that can defuse Coughlin, someone that can distribute out of the middle, not just out of the back.
Mm-hmm.
And is good at both ends of the field. Like, I do not know what has kept him out because Utica's injury reports are extremely vague. Lower. Is it a quad? Is it a hamstring? Is it a high ankle sprain? Does he have busted kneecaps that we don't know about? Like, the season's 8 weeks in now.
Who
I
busted
think
out
so.
his
We haven't
kneecaps?
seen him or heard anything about him.
Yeah, other than just injury reports.
Who went Tanya Harding on him? Yeah. Like, Isak's coming back, but again, that helps with the depth on the offense. Not so much on the. Well, according to Bethany in the chat, Nate may need surgery.
Yeah, that's. I mean, when they're out this long,
Hans is probably out for the year.
I mean, when they're out this long, I mean, it's kind of almost an inevitability that it's they probably do need surgery.
Like, you figured it's something. You figured it's something worse, but not hearing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's the MASL is not great communication, which there is nowhere in this league. No one is ever like, oh, this player tore his ACL, he's done for the season. Right. You just see him on the injury list as out. But it's frustrating because in other sports that I follow, I have continually watched players get injured,
mm-hmm.
and the teams try to downplay the injury or have the guy play through it when they're having a losing season. This is one of your best players. You aren't making the playoffs, or he's injured now. It might require surgery. It probably won't. If he comes back, he'll be 8%. It's like, well, then get the surgery, have him be out 6 to 8 weeks, and voila. Versus 3 weeks of rehab, and then he's 70 to 80% the rest of the year.
Yep.
Get him back to percent. Make those decisions sooner. Be decisive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know. So, just I'm reading the chat. I did see Isak played last night on M2. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely had some. I was watching that on the broadcast when I got home because I couldn't stay down there any longer. And
mm-hmm.
I mean, just what I watched, he did. He was doing great. The team as a whole, considering they're playing against a bunch of guys from Utica basically and Silver Knights.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were in for it.
Yeah, that Lancers team is less M2. Like that Lancers team has more talent on it in M2 now than it did when they were in M1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame that they can't get into the what was it, the Dome Arena again and come back up a level.
I know.
Because they had attendance, they were doing well there.
And we'd love. I would have loved to take more trips out there.
I'd love to go visit Fireside again.
Yes.
They're just finishing up a refurbishment, like a remodel or whatever. They were closed for a week, I saw,
Mhm.
and they broke out some new wing sauce. That's a hot garlic one called Vampire's Kiss. It's like that's the perfect place to go before a game.
And with
I'm
players
gonna-
like Joe Balls, you just have to go.
All right. What's a positive takeaway from this game? For me, I'm going to say no one got a yellow. Because
Nobody on our team got a yellow.
yes. No one on our team was able to push those, I don't even know what to call them anymore, embarrassments to the officiating profession to giving them a yellow. Like it.
Tell me how you really feel.
That's the next segment, but I want to get
I
through like
figured
what's
as much.
positive. And like I really do think a positive is like you were able to complain and do it respectfully enough that the circus clowns couldn't slap you with an imaginary call.
I mean, a positive takeaway would be that we got a point.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
it wasn't a win. It was, like I said, I just think the positive, honestly, the positive here is the fact that, I go back to my original point. It was a well played game. Yes, there was things that need to change, but man, if this team can fire on all cylinders like they did for, we'll say, 3/4 of this game, that's what we need. That's what we need to see in some of these big matchups. I mean, there might be certain games where it's like, okay, you can ease off the pedal a little bit, but in stuff like this, pedal to the metal, all game, and that's what I want to see more of.
Yeah.
I'm not going to forget my credit card again.
Wasn't just the card; it was the whole wallet.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's what you get for wearing a bunny suit.
That's what I say to you.
But no, great game, and it's a shame that we had the two worst officials in the MASL on the turf for it.
Please tell me more.
Do I have to?
I know
Do I
you're
need
gonna.
to bring up the Willie Spur broken leg and the Chris Toth concussion and Segura's head injury that didn't get stopped, all with Brian Miller on the turf?
Yeah.
Or like I rewatched that and there were two very obvious missed handballs from Texas. One where the guy slid into defense and then took up like he was trying to defend a basketball player,
Yeah.
and it hit his arm. That's the handball. Didn't get called. The other one was Uzi trying to do a slide block, and his dragging arm caught it. They missed one against Alava, who same thing, slide block, arm out behind him, hit his arm, kicked up into the air, and they missed that.
Yeah, definitely not a natural position, and it wasn't. We're not just saying it was missed calls in our favor, because it wasn't.
They were terrible both ways. Like Miller is a threat to player safety, and then you have Foster's home for imaginary calls out there with him, and it's just unbelievable. And it's an embarrassment to the league There's apparently no accountability for these officials. Two of those handballs, I believe, came within the final 5 minutes of regulation, where they have the authority to go to the review themselves. They can initiate it.
Yep.
But Miller looks so disinterested and bored out there the entire game, which makes sense because he can't even get out of the way of the ball when it comes at him, lifting his feet 18 inches off the ground with the help of the boards is too difficult.
Yeah, he literally helped us out a couple times there too. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't. It was a few of those went in our favor.
It's just it's frustrating because you had a great competitive game.
Yeah.
Two very evenly matched teams play similar style. They want to run up and down the turf. They want to get you in transition. And it was just marred with putting I don't know how else to describe it. Like hire clowns, expect a circus.
So I'm going to preface this by saying we're not blaming the refs
No.
for why we lost.
No, they missed calls both ways terribly.
Like not at all what we're trying to say. Yes, maybe they can get them some vision insurance so they can get some better glasses.
So I will say my favorite terrible call is where Nilton bumped into, I think it was Mike Jones from behind, and then Jones turns around and shoves him to the turf from 5 feet away, and then Nilton gets a warning from Foster.
What do you think about
That's
our
an automatic
challenge?
blue card.
Yeah.
That is an automatic blue card. He pushed him.
Yep. And then the challenge, Keaton.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
going to be honest. I'm going to be frank here. After watching it in slow mo,
saw the tape. No, Keaton whiffed and just kicked.
He tripped over his own feet. Like there was no call there, so that would have been fine. There was no call there, but on top of that, you throw an embellishment warning. The dude fell. Like, relax.
The dude tried to unload, kicked the turf so hard he could have broke his foot.
Yeah.
Like, watch the way his ankle rolls during that. It's like, oh, wow, that was a lot scarier than... And they're like, nah, he was faking it. Nah, man, he just tripped over his own turf. Like, the turf monster got him. We saw it happen to Uzi later in the game.
Yes.
But they didn't call him for embellishment.
Nope.
Just... And then, we talk about not knowing the rules. I sent this in the group chat, and I'll read it off here. Because there were, on that important shootout, there was a yellow card that should have been issued and was not. And I'll say this, you and I both are big fans of Uzi.
Oh, yeah.
Wish he would have come to Utica. I think that absolutely shores up the defense and solves any problems we have if he was here.
Yeah, I definitely wish that he could have made it.
He jumped the gun, not once, but twice.
Yes.
On the shootout. And according to the MASL rulebooks, it's like 14.8J or something like that on application for how a shootout takes place. If any player from either team leaves the halfway line prior to the whistle being blown to start the shootout, the referee should immediately whistle to play dead and the shootout retaken. There was no whistle to stop the shootout from happening.
Nope.
The offending team will be issued a team warning, and any subsequent violations will result in a 5-minute misconduct non-power play penalty, served by a player of the offending team's coach choice.
Right.
The penalty does not accrue against the serving player. There's a yellow card. Should have been handed out.
Yep.
First, they missed the warning. Secondly, they missed the yellow card. Now, I didn't know that was a rule, but I figured that jumping the gun on the shootout was a big no-no.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So I looked,
equivalent to
and it didn't take long.
it's an equivalent to, a false start in American football.
Yes.
It's some sort of call.
Yeah, it's not like I'm paid to read these rules, but apparently I take more effort than two officials who somehow keep getting assignments. Which, you don't see it, Huber. To your point, yes, he went early twice.
Yeah,
You
he did.
don't see it on the replay because the camera angles that are used.
Mhm.
They're focused on Frank, but you hear the crowd boo twice.
Yeah.
From him jumping.
Yep.
And for the record, Miller has 11 seasons. This is his 11th year. And Foster, who is a disgrace to the number 42, it's his third season, and he should not be back beyond that. Like, he shouldn't have even been brought back after the first season, but at least in the NFL, everyone talks about how bad the officiating can be.
Right.
There's a guy that blew some calls 2 weeks before the playoffs.
Mhm.
They didn't give him any playoff games.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
The only problem with something like that is that we don't have enough refs to be able to do that.
I'm pretty sure
Enough
the
decent ones that want to
MASL.
travel.
Yeah, honestly, I believe that the chat in most of these games could do like a vote on every call and would get it right more often than some of these officials.
There's times when the chat absolutely just nails it, and like they just can tell from the same camera angles that are available to them, only we're not
I
able
fully
to
believe
pick ones.
Miller should have been fired after the Willie Spur incident where Spur's leg was broken and they went to video review and he found nothing. And then they had to the discipline review committee reviews it and is like, nah, that's a red card. He's getting a suspension.
Yeah.
And it was a multiple game suspension. Like, don't let that man anywhere near the turf of a game that isn't like Dallas versus Harrisburg. If it has potential playoff implications, he shouldn't be allowed within the state.
Yeah, I don't feel like we have definitely not had good experience with Brian Miller at all. Anytime he's been in Utica or in a Utica game or really any game, you just kind of
game
like
that you watch with him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we may talk specifically about Utica games, but any game that I've watched him ref in is typically not. It doesn't turn out well.
No. Like, for those who don't know what I do, I'm a cook. And if I was as bad as he is at his job, people would die. Because I'd be like, you get salmonella. Here's a little E. coli.
That's a spicy meatball.
It's no, we haven't yet, Huber. We will probably towards the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what's left to be said at this point. Except hopefully we don't see him in important games down the stretch. Because if we do end up with this crew again, it's going to be another fustercluck. And neither team will be happy.
Yep.
And no matter how good the game is, you're going to be left there going, wow, I wonder if it was officiated semi-competently, how things could have gone.
True. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, you shouldn't be left questioning at the end of a game.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, anytime that you have Brian Miller on the field, or either one really, it's just, I know at the beginning of the game, I mean, I saw exactly who it was, and just like, here we go again. But you do that with every, like, I'm pretty sure I do that with just about every game I watch, and I see that one of these two is reffing.
Yeah. No, like I think like Kadlachek's pretty good. Butler has good days and bad days.
Yep.
I mean, Sigic was in charge of the Milwaukee one, and apparently you're allowed to use Jumbotron to review. So I guess when like the head official is like, well, I will bend the rules here to make up for the fact that I have a blind guy out there running around with me. Yeah.
Yeah, there should
And
just
I'm sorry,
never
because
be.
that's an insult to blind people. It's, I don't know. We just have to cross our fingers that we don't see these officials in important matches after this.
I was gonna say, take your breath. Riggies.
Riggies. Riggies no more. We're back to City FC.
I want to be the Riggies. I
mean,
like the Riggies. They were good. They were tasty.
Well, 72's got some good kitchen staff. That's I don't unless you have anything else to say about Foster and Miller. Like,
Nah. I think
they're bad.
They're bad.
The league needs to actually do something, hold them accountable, or move on.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep giving bad refs important games. So that brings us to this weekend. Utica's got 2 games. I completely forgot about Friday night's game, but I guess that's because it's Harrisburg, and I was really hoping not to see them for another like 3 weeks.
Yeah, we saw a lot of them in December, and it was like, so we're getting January off, right? Right?
Nope.
Nope.
Like, could we make it to February at least? No.
No.
Friday 7:30 down in Harrisburg. I mean, we've seen these teams. We know what we're going to get. Barring something going cataclysmically wrong, Utica will walk out with like a 10-6 win.
As long as,
like
things.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as things,
Again,
pan
versus
out the
things
way you
going
expect.
cataclysmically wrong. Have the Heat won a game yet? I don't believe so.
Don't
No,
think
they are
so.
0-9 with a negative 43 goal differential.
And we gave them half that. Or we gave them a good bit of that, I should say, not half that.
Yeah. Your prediction?
9-6. No. I didn't want to copy you and go 10-6. So I won't. Yeah, we'll go with 9. We'll go with 9-6. A little bit closer, but I'd love to see the double digits, but can't have it every time.
Yeah, I mean, Dominic Francis still leads the way for their team. Joey's still having a pretty good season. Honestly, I think
Not already played his first game.
And yeah, he's better than Glorioso. That does help them getting an experienced goalkeeper in there. Yep. But as we saw last year with Florida, he's not to the same level as Silva.
Right.
They had signed Hugo Silva. They had signed, and visa issues have kept him out. honestly, I think I don't know obviously what went on contract wise, but them not getting Vosvik back for a second year and having to start over at goalkeeper
Mhm.
really killed any chance for this team.
It does seem that way.
It's you need to be strong in net. You got to start in the back.
Start in the back, work your way forward, and yeah.
You will find people to score in this league. It's finding people to stop the scoring that is a lot more difficult.
Oh yeah, it really is. Agreed. That being said, I mean, like you said, we know what we're getting into when we get down to Harrisburg. Whether they come here, we go there. We know what we're getting into. There's really not much to go over at this point with them.
Oh, that's fair. So according to Huber, Vosvik didn't want to play and was focusing on his education.
That's a fair reason.
Which, good for him. And also, that kind of feels like, you guys can't pay me enough, which considering
Never know.
the attendance issues in Harrisburg, also true.
Yeah.
Though I guess you could say most of the league has attendance issues this year.
Yeah, most. I mean, obviously we definitely have the exceptions.
Yeah, you have Kansas, who's better than ever. Utica, who's right where they've been.
Yep.
Milwaukee's down. I think St. Louis is pretty close. Dallas has one win, but is still drawing a couple thousand people. Baltimore's under 2. San Diego's under 2. The Empire's in a full build, and they're only drawing 60 less fans than San Diego.
Well, that's because, Empire fans are Empire fans.
Yeah. I mean, Monterey's undefeated. Looks like they could run the table, and they're drawing under 1,000 fans.
Yeah. Yep.
Rough.
It is. It really is.
Sunday, Utica comes back to the odd. We get a rematch with the Comets. Last 2 games ended 7-6 in overtime in favor of Utica. How do you see this one going?
Well, considering that we're not there for once, that obviously plays into it. We've seen what effect the crowd can have on Utica. We saw it yesterday. We'll see it again.
My voice certainly is not quite recovered.
I was gonna say I've been scratchy this whole time. It's I was amazed that I wasn't worse today because I was basically mute last night by the time I got home. We're gonna be on tired legs. So what I see happening is we're gonna try and go up early. And potentially try and ride it out, which isn't gonna work. Not against Kansas City. It might work against worked against St. Louis, but it's not going to work here. No. We need to be ready for a marathon, not a sprint, because if we try and do a sprint, we're just going to be tired for 3 quarters and watch them just run by and sink the ball over and over again. So I could see us playing a little bit more defensively. And I'm going to go. It's going to be I'm going to say a 6-5 non overtime. Like this will be regulation, but I'm going to go with a 6-5.
Okay. Yeah, Kansas City is reeling right now. They started out really hot, and then they have just run into the machine that is playing down in Mexico. They've lost 3 straight games down there. Let me find their scores because they dropped one just before. Yeah, they dropped one against Texas 7-6.
Yep.
Kansas. Then they beat St. Louis and Harrisburg to get a 3-game win streak going. Lost to us. Lost 12-5. Lost 8-7. In another game that was fantastic and ruined by terrible officiating.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to Chihuahua on Friday, this past Friday, and lost 8-2.
Yep.
Which to me says this high-powered offense had some issues adjusting to the small turf.
Agreed. Yep. 100%.
Getting back to a full-size field, going to be hard fought. I definitely want to beat Utica. I'd like to think we get out of here with at least 2 points. I'm going to say 8-7 Utica.
Okay.
I think we keep, if it's injuries, they probably keep Mo and Gordy off the field on Friday on hopes that they play Sunday.
Yeah.
Because we saw what their absence did this week, and you need them.
Agreed.
You really do. Give Berger a chance against Harrisburg. Stevens has been looking fantastic in his little spurts.
Yep. Agreed.
Guy looks like he's got a really high ceiling moving forward. I don't know. Maybe Keaton's injured. Or was just feeling under the weather. It looked like he was running through quicksand against Texas.
Yeah.
Like he's typically a faster player on the turf, and he was getting beat left and right. So
I mean,
maybe give him a game off. Give him.
He was good for, I would say, the first half. He was doing pretty well, but again, I think he started getting tired towards the second. Again, the whole sprint versus a marathon. That was just my observation, but
yeah. No, I did see the guys getting a little winded out there towards the end.
Yeah.
You gotta play them tight.
Mm-hmm.
You can obviously get under Neto's skin if he's in there. Hasn't really. Yeah, he played great for 3.5 quarters in that first game.
Yes, he did.
But once he made one mistake, the wheels fell off.
Yes. Yep. And that's, that we capitalized on that hard.
Maybe they go with their. Okay, I'm going to pronounce this based on the website, which is their backup goalkeeper who started the last 2 games down in Monterey.
Mm-hmm.
Philip Ajimadu. He was signed by Los Angeles FC, had some run with the USL Championship, USL Championship, USL League One, and MLS Next Pro. Obviously, still adjusting to the indoor game.
Yep.
Giving up 7 goals, but he's got a 720 save percentage. So, good save rate.
Yeah.
Let's check his game logs. Savage, Flash. Yeah, outside of Heat and Comets, the Heat game, like he hasn't really been put in positions to succeed. His first start was the game that they lost to the Outlaws, where he played 3 quarters, and they were without Vandergriff and Berto Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
Then he plays the Heat, and he comes in the second half against the Flash. Well, you're already down 8 goals.
Yeah. So at that point, it's
4
it's
for
over.
12, pretty good. 4 goals on 12 save attempts, pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Then his next one came in the next game against the Flash. 30 shot attempts. He made 23 saves, but that's that small field.
Right.
And then this last one, he struggled a bit. 7 goals, 8 saves. Yeah, we'll see. Has he claimed the starting keeper role? Is there an injury with Neto? We'll only find out once we get reports and see what the game day roster looks like. But
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we won't know until game day. So, well, unless there's something specifically listed on the
yes,
availability report, then then we'll know beforehand. But otherwise, yeah, we aren't going to know until game day. So,
yep,
that's what we got to roll with. And yes, it would be nice to see Goldman on the field, but I mean, Harrisburg's a good time to do that. I don't know if it would be Kansas City, but
yeah, Harrisburg seems like a good chance to get him some game action.
Yeah.
Again, if you're resting guys, get him in.
And I mean, I would love to see Segura back on the
whoever
field.
you aren't.
Yeah, just saying.
I mean,
we all would.
Look, if visas get cleared up, that means Segura and Toby are back, and our defensive issues aren't completely fixed because a lot of them come from the attacking players having some issues.
Mm-hmm.
But it
But it
gives you
helps.
that security blanket on the back line.
Yep, gives you that veteran presence on the back line.
You got to contain Reggett in this one. He's got 21 goals on the season in 12 games. You did a pretty good job against him in the last game. You held him to 2 goals. I'd love to see you hold him to 1 or less.
Yeah.
And just cut down the passing angles a little bit more because you can't let Nacho and John Sosa, not to be confused with Sousa. Nightmare fuel for the broadcasting teams there. But you can't let them operate as well as they have, as freely as they did in this past game.
Right.
Sosa's got 12 assists in 12 games. Flores has 10. Just cut down those angles. They're great at finding them. Just remember, if you I'm not saying double team them, but tighter marks.
Yeah, agreed.
Because they'll find the open guy otherwise. That's our predictions for the week. Let's mention the fact that Live Source is your site to get the Utica Riggies jerseys. They're up for auction. It ends at 8 o'clock next Monday. I think it ends during our stream next Monday. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. You have Frank Tayu, Gordy Gerson. Depending on price. Frank Tayu, Gordy Gerson, Mo Ndiaye, and Taylor Walter Bond up. Already, Frank is at 130, Taylor at 140, Mo at 150, and Gordy at 160.
Nope.
I got a feeling Gordy's going to go for the highest.
I mean, I know honestly, there's definitely going to be some fight,
just because I think it's big enough that it might fit me.
I don't know. I could see some. I definitely could see some fight for the.
We don't need to squeeze
CWV.
into a Gordy one.
Hey, a guy can dream.
Yeah, he's been resurgent. Like he's been resurgent since coming to Utica. After this last game, he's got 1.4 points per game on the season, which is like the kind of season we haven't seen out of him in 7 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know me, I'm a sucker for defense, and I love a good passer. Hence, Big Mo.
Big Mo.
And obviously, I expect Franks to get run up there as well.
I would imagine so, yeah.
First to 500 points. First to 500 points. It's game worn. It's autographed. And we know he still has some fans on the West Coast.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So,
You still got fans here.
Yeah,
Don't
that
get me
is-
wrong.
So yeah, you can find these on the Live Source app. You can look under search by city. Utica, New York is on there. This is the same app that the Comets use to raffle off their jerseys, and other teams in the league will use to raffle theirs. So once you're in, you have an account, you're good to go.
Yep.
Anything else we got to add tonight, Brandon?
No, I think that just about covers it.
What?
Sogs.
I was trying to be
Okay.
good. I didn't
You
do it.
forgot the socks.
No, I'm not going to do it. She ruined it.
No, you're not going to do it?
She ruined it.
No? Okay. You ruined it, Kate.
I also
Well,
don't remember
since
what
there's
button
no
it
more
is.
socks, thank you all for tuning in, joining us. Game Friday. Catch it on Twitch. It's not that it'll load quickly on this website, but Utica Harrisburg MASL Soccer 2. So catch it there. 7:30 start time on Friday night. Sunday, 3 o'clock at the Odd. Be there, be loud, be proud. We are Utica City. Go Utica.
Let's go.
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing, go Utica City.